Today's topic is about how to step beyond and expand your comfort zone in a way that makes sense for you so that you can do things that are important to you or so you can promote your business, product, journal, book in a more public way. This is an important topic to me because I have a long history with trauma. So whenever I would think about stepping outside of my comfort zone, I didn't feel like I could do it. It felt too intimidating, especially when it came to things like public speaking. It seemed like too big of a challenge and too much of a hurdle. And I just couldn't see myself going from where I was to being in that place of speaking in front of people. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like what I had to share didn't matter. And I was deeply uncomfortable with being seen and heard by people that I knew and didn't know. If this sounds like something you can relate to, or you struggle with stepping outside of your comfort zone, then today's video is for you. Today's tips have helped me to become a podcast host, a podcast guest, start my own YouTube channel, present in corporate settings, and speak publicly. From a mental health standpoint, I actively manage my anxiety, depression, and complex PTSD. I want to be super clear here that I'm not a mental health expert, a therapist, or a medical professional. I cannot tell you what to do or what not to do. I can only share with you what my experience has been and what's worked for me. With all that said, let's get started. Here are the top tips that have helped me to step outside of my comfort zone. Self-worth has been a huge hurdle for me. The first challenge I had to work through was deepening my connection to my self-worth and learning to trust myself. This might not sound relevant to today's conversation, but in reality, self-worth and our ability to trust ourselves impacts every area of our lives. How we feel about ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how we think about ourselves, and how we believe that others think about us. And ultimately, it impacts the decisions that we make. This conversation can go very deep and it may not resonate with everyone. We have our own life experiences, our own circumstances, and our own challenges. So with that in mind, here is my number one foundational tip for how I learned to believe in and protect my own sense of value and learn to trust myself. I learned how to be a good friend to myself and have my own back. This has been key to reinforcing my self-worth and building that trust up with myself. It was impossible to really connect with my self-worth when I didn't love, respect, and care for myself, and when I knew that ultimately I wouldn't have my own back. Because of my long history of being in survival mode, I was more focused on what others needed, wanted, and thought. And I didn't take into consideration what my needs were and what would be right for my life. Over time, I learned how to speak to myself in a respectful and compassionate way, and I learned how to set strong and healthy boundaries with others. I realized that when I care for myself on a more regular basis, I'm setting a solid foundation for being able to do things that feel bigger or more intimidating. My low self-worth was directly connected to some of the limiting beliefs that I was carrying, and the fact that I hadn't been caring for myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the way that I needed. By nurturing my self-worth and rebuilding that trust with myself, I gained the confidence and the courage to do things that were intimidating for me or that were new or different. I've learned that I could step into those new and different environments and navigate the challenges that would come along the way. Choosing to rebuild my self-worth and trust was a powerful investment in the quality of my life. I gained deep inner strength and healthy boundaries to protect and preserve my peace, and I feel much more comfortable being myself. So much more to this topic, especially as it relates to accessing resources and support. So if this video resonates with you, check the video description below. I'm going to link to some resources, including free and discounted therapy programs and other online resources created by mental health experts that help us to see different ways that we can heal and care for ourselves. I've heard the advice, just get started when you're afraid of doing something new. And while I think that can be great when you just want to break through fear or you want to start a new habit, It may not be practical advice for someone who has a dysregulated nervous system, has deep and pervasive limiting beliefs, or just really struggles to see themselves succeeding in a given task. Which leads me to say that starting small can sometimes be the key to getting closer to where you want to be. It might be too much to just jump right into something that you haven't done before. If that's the case for you, you might consider building confidence in other areas of your life and then allowing those confidence boosts to slowly and surely change the way that you see yourself and what you believe that you can achieve. Here's an example of how I built my confidence slowly and surely over time. I started thinking about what I wanted to do in a non-pressured way. So for me, I wanted to start a business, but I didn't know how I would go about doing that. And it felt really big and really intimidating. So when I was driving home from my corporate job, I would think about it just in a non-pressured way, allowing myself to think, if I was starting a business, what would that business be? What would the purpose be? What would I really enjoy doing? What could I see myself doing for a long period of time? And as I was driving, I let those thoughts marinate and I contemplated it in a way that helped me to think about it in a more positive light instead of having an initial reaction of, I can't do that. I've never done that before. I started thinking about it in a way that was more along the lines of, if I could, what would it be? What would it look like? To start to visualize myself in that new and different environment. And I didn't put the pressure on myself to have all of the answers to the questions that would come up, but just to start thinking about it and to lay that emotional and mental groundwork to get prepared in a way to take the next step, to feel comfortable taking the next step. And over time, that worked for me. I was comfortable taking the next step, which was to research how to start a business and to take some free or discounted online business classes. And that helped me to build the foundation that I needed to start my new business. And if this is something that you're interested in doing, check out the video description below. I'll link to the resources that I used when I first got started. Taking steps like these can be much easier said than done, especially in the more challenging moments or when our anxiety spikes, which is why it's so important to have the right resources and support to maintain that open mind and to care for our needs along the way. Starting small can be an effective way of building confidence before you take that big leap, which may be the key factor in getting from where you are to where you want to be in a way and pace that's right for you. Limiting beliefs and fears for me have tied directly to my history with trauma. This can be true for a lot of people. For example, if as a child your emotions were routinely dismissed, your thoughts and ideas were belittled, or you were neglected or ignored by your family or people around you, that can have an impact on how you feel and how you think about yourself as an adult. You may feel deeply uncomfortable being seen and heard by others or being judged by others. You may feel very uncomfortable with the idea of being vulnerable. So this next tip is, don't let your limiting beliefs hold you back. You may feel like your ideas aren't worth sharing, or you may feel instinctively unsafe to speak up and be vulnerable. Identifying and working through my limiting beliefs, changing my thinking patterns, learning how to heal my dysregulated nervous system, and releasing past trauma and emotions has had a profound impact on my life. Working with a trauma-informed therapist helped me learn what was going on a deeper level, mentally, emotionally, and physically, which gave me the tools and mindset and emotional regulation I needed to move further outside of my comfort zone. If this resonates with you, dismantling the limiting beliefs that are currently holding you back just may be what you need to shift your perspective about yourself in a powerful way. If there's a single aspect that's changed my life the most when it comes to stepping outside of my comfort zone and consistently moving forward, it's health and wellness. It can be so easy to think or assume that health and wellness has nothing to do with topics like pursuing our goals, for example, or stepping outside of our comfort zone. But in reality, our state of being mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically impacts every area of our life. So this tip is learning to care for your core needs can be a powerful step in the right direction. Just as one example, learning to manage my anxiety has had a huge impact on my life. It's changed the way I see myself, how I feel about myself, and how I see and view and feel about the opportunities that are possible for my life. What I eat, the quality of my sleep, my nervous system, and so much more all contribute to my ability to show up in the way that I would like and to navigate the challenges that are present in my life. And learning how to access, process, release my emotions was pivotal for me. It helped me to feel more at peace on a regular basis and not feel so weighed down energetically. Although we share many similarities, we have many differences too. Our life experiences, our challenges, our situations, circumstances, and needs can all be very different. So the resources and support we need can be very different too. There's so much more to this topic, and what works for me may not work for you. So in the video description, I'm going to link to some free and discounted therapy programs and some other online resources by mental health experts that may be a help to you as you continue exploring and considering what's right for you. Today's topic extends far beyond what we can cover in one video. And there's so much to consider when it comes to stepping into new environments that are uncomfortable. And it depends on what your circumstances are and what your goals are. Are you wanting to start a new business, a podcast, or a YouTube channel? Are you looking to publish a book? What you're looking to do can influence how you approach stepping outside of your comfort zone. And there may be many reasons why we struggle to step outside of our comfort zone. Maybe fear of failure, perfectionism, or difficulty concentrating, or chronic lack of energy. Although we can't cover it all, I hope today's tips have provided some helpful insight as you continue exploring what's right for you. With that said, what are your thoughts on stepping outside of your comfort zone? What has worked for you and what holds you back? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.